Yeah, we're gonna do this. Hey, don't get me jumping for nothing. I'll see myself out there. Oh, that was terrible. That one was terrible. Gary Clark Jr. JPEG RAW. Now, yeah. For the thumbnail, I didn't already make it clear. Yeah, and my previous review for this land, I don't even think I had a chance to talk about the previous two records before. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie and say I wasn't somewhat anticipating it. Though there was a clip of one of the tracks that was the singles for this record that they did that was released in a 4-track EP, and then streamed through that for teasing into this record. And I try to remember which one I heard, but I was like, I don't know. Maybe I should just wait for the record. And that's what I did. And here we are. And yeah. Anyway, yeah. This, as you can hear from the, this is Gary Clark Jr., a very well known Texas blues rock musician, or just Texas blues musician in general. In fact, one of the last ones, born and raised out of Austin. Basically, the Hendrix meets Stevie Ray Vaughan with some Prince eclecticism in terms of his varying genres he likes to flirt with. And that was very clear from what I could tell from his debut, Black and Blue, when I got started liking him, and then kind of got into this old boy here. Here are the story of Sonny Boy Slim, his old, which was his, I guess supposed to be his origin thing, but for some reason I just did not care for this record as much as the last record, which I'm trying to figure out who helped, which he had a bunch of producers involved with that. Even Rob freaking Cavallo was involved with that record, but first record, but and Doug McKinnon. Neat. Anyway, but everybody started to really take notice of him when somehow he won Best Rock Album for this land. Even though even with the nominees that were there, I slightly scratched my head about it too. And yeah, I enjoyed the heck out of that record. To me, in fact, I felt it was more of a return to form of what I enjoyed about him from Black and Blue, more so or less. To me, decent, but yeah, this one was I treasured a lot, and from what I remember talking about, but I don't know if I overstepped my bounds a little bit. I'm starting to think I may have just a little bit because it was more what I kind of liked from the first record, but it's possible because of that I may have to step that album down from how I praised it before. But I really liked that record, and going into this, I just didn't know what to think he would do next, and turns out his decision was to go more hip-hop and jazz-oriented, or at least draw from his influences more towards East Coast hip-hop and like New York jazz, or at least the more noir-y jazz kind of a thing. There's not a whole lot that goes on in this record that feels super like what he had done in the past, necessarily, even to a point where I feel like the hip hop and more so the hip hop elements and backbeat instrumentations just seem to want to, for the most part, are so forward in the mix. It's drowning out his greatest strength in his guitar playing a bit. Even on, and for me, Mukbang was a good start at least. It was a fun, interesting start, and then it kind of goes a little jazzy with the title track following, Don't Start with Valley of June is interesting. And then the follow up with Nala, This Is Who We Are. This Is Who We Are, I think, is a little bit better. Don't Start is, I think, about, from what I could tell in the lyrics, has something to do with basically the him having been cheated on to the point where he's willing to go and he's in enough of a fit of rage, he's willing to go shoot down the mother ever who the cheatee for it, and he's not having anything to do with the woman because he just broke her heart. But to the point where he don't care anymore. I'll go to jail for just to kill this motherfucker, so I don't have to deal with him anymore, or some shit, crazy stuff. Anyway, and To the End of the Earth is very short. I guess it's him trying to do a jazzy little thing, but it doesn't really do much, and it's just kind of there. Alone Together's interesting, but it leads, I guess, into Alone Together pretty decently. But for me, What About the Children is pretty good. Did a collab with Stevie freaking Wonder. This first album he's done collabs with instead of relying on just himself mostly. And then there's the one with George Clinton, that Funk With You with George Clinton from Parallel Funkadelic. Those are the big ones, and those are definitely the highlights of the features for sure. Triumph is a pretty good inspirational track. Hearts in Retrograde is probably the one thing that does feel like classic Harry Hard Jr. in a good way. Though when I first heard it, for some strange reason, I thought the fuzz was a bit more grungy. Maybe it was just something to the way he used his octaves with that fuzz, I guess, that maybe it came off grungier than I thought. I don't know. Than what I was used to from him. I feel like Habits which is the longest track on here. I wonder if he was attempting to try to pull Ready When My Train Pulls In type of a thing, but the problem is the lead guitar work he had, I'm sure it probably might go over better live, but the lead work on this thing just does not. It's just buried in all the other stuff that's going on, and which is a shame. But not in a way that makes me completely hate this record, but it does kind of not end things the best. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe that to an extent outside of this land and stuff. Though I will say I like this record, from what I can tell, more immediately in comparison to Story of Sonny Boy Slim. So for me, I mean, Hearts in Retrograde, I think that, yeah, that one's pretty good. Hyperwave's pretty decent. I think, yeah, the highlights for me the most are the first two tracks. What About the Children, Hearts in Retrograde, and Triumph for me, I think. More so or less. I would like the final track Habits, but it doesn't really as much as I was hoping for. But overall, I do. And plus, some of the lyricism is just, he's definitely bringing in more jazz influence, to some extent, like with JPEG Raw. It's very this jazz rap, acid jazz thing going on, which acid jazz being a style that's kind of like jazz fusion, but is more hip hop based than rock based. And he does have some of it, but I do feel like he's letting that take a backseat for his jazz and hip hop influences instead. Somewhat to a detriment in not allowing him to show the strengths he does have as a guitar player. Sorry, my hat's been a little screwy here. But anyways, yeah. But overall, I do like this record. Just, I'm thinking I'm not going to be as... I still like this. I will say I like this last record a little bit better than this. But I will say it's not to the level... I feel like this is at least better than Story of Sonny Boy Slim. And I'm starting to think his debut is probably still his strongest for the most part. But I'm curious what everybody else thinks on this record. For me, I'll probably be nice enough to say, as someone who's given him horns up before, me having to say it's more a strong, keeping it real. For me, I I think I can at least have it somewhere in honorable, if not high honorable mentions, but I don't know if I can see this for sure making my best of year list. Sadly, which I feel like I may have done before with Gary Clark Jr., but I don't think I did. Which I think I probably could have, possibly with the black and blue, but I don't. I could have, if I did my reviews back then, um, but yeah, overall, yeah, that's for me. It's this album is this album's solid enough, but it's not. I don't know if I can say it's his best, especially coming off of having a Grammy win years ago in 2019. And who knows? Maybe he was starting. It was maybe the pandemic kind of screwed his creative flow a little bit too, and maybe he had some ideas that involved pandemic stuff, and then he just kind of just threw that to the side once it got closer away from it. Maybe, and I wouldn't blame him for it, since we're trying to move on from that. But and I think he just focused more on a lot of trying to build up things for the black community and stuff like that. I guess like he mentions for with anthems like Triumph and there I say and with What About the Children with Stevie Mother F and Wonder. Though I am curious here on something. Hold on a second. Okay. Apparently, the title of JPEG RAW is an acronym for jealousy, pride, envy, greed, rules. Greed. See, pride, envy, greed, rules. Alter ego, worlds. And one came out time period in which Clark Jr. would find himself alone in the studio during said quarantine in March of 2020, trying to set himself back to when he started making music at the age of 12. This release, JPEG RAW was described as a showcase of Clark Jr.'s ever-expanding creative palette as well as his eclectic musical universe. He explained that RAW is about showing the real and not the edit, as he grew tired of not having more genuine interaction due to a world of edits, filters, and redos. The album finds himself expanding on his palettes of influences, including traditional African music, jazz, rock, R&B, hip-hop, and blues. And of course, so apparently, yes, fuzz guitar. Trying to figure out I guess it's the wah-wah or... Which track was it? I'm curious. Harsh is 8. The rhythm guitar is from Zapata. I think he's been his go-to guy for a while. Anyway, regardless, it's kind of what the background is of that record. But yes. Yeah, of course he produced and engineered it a bit. So did Jacob Skiba, I believe. This one, Mike Bozzi, was the master. On Mike Elzindo. Yeah, he doesn't have any too many huge names here. Oh no, I noticed Elzindo because of the first record. Elzondo, I should say. But yeah, and I guess some of his sisters, I think, were involved. I think with some of the backing vocals here and there, and some. Well, other than that, yeah. Which, of course, I did talk about. I think a lot of those topics essentially do cover most of this record, though. I give them that, but for the most part. And I think in that regard he does succeed, but as far as like I said, it's more the fact that I feel like this album musically isn't as for me as I would say some of his other records are. But I still like it enough to say that it's worth at least checking out and giving it a shot. So there's my thoughts on that. But what did you guys think of the record? Like I said again, strong, keeping it real. At the very least, at the most, if not at the very least, I could maybe inch it out, maybe ever so slightly a light horns up. But I like this. I wanted to like this more than I did going into it because of this land, but I just wasn't expecting to get super hyped going into this one. But I do hope other people get more out of it than me, and it still does get a decent reception, and that he doesn't like get lost from it all. But yeah, I do like some of the ideas that he does do here. I do hope at the very least he doesn't lose his guitar playing in the mix too much next time. I feel like trying to dismiss yourself as the great guitar player you are is doesn't you no so good a service, my dude. So, but other than that, I mean, I liked it. I wish I could say I'm more drawn to it compared to some of the other releases I've listened to this year, but I can't say that. I can't really, unfortunately, with this one. So, but it is what it is. What did you guys think? Leave a comment below. Let me know. As always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. I'll see you in the next video. Also, let me know if y'all want me to post a... I'm thinking about posting something on my thoughts on this discography so far, even though it's just 4 albums. I might just post it anyway. Maybe I'll probably leave it in the comments, possibly. But we'll just have to see. But yeah, other than that, once again, one more time, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. I'll see you in the next video, whatever that may be. Most likely, it will definitely be the new Sum 41. Stupid for me to not check it out, given it is their last record, and I had fun when I went through everything else they did leading up to Order in Decline, which their last record was really, really, really killer. Like, I'm very curious how they're gonna, if they're gonna end on even the highest of notes that is even higher than Order in Decline, which is gonna be tough for them. I mean, that's another thing. There you have to follow up Order in Decline on top of the fact this is their last hurrah, supposedly. At least, well, Derek will still do his own thing, but with other projects. But it seems that's gonna be a whole other story. But either way, what did you guys think of this record and are you also looking forward to my Sum 41 review when that comes out? So, and my also probably review, which is why, and hopefully you finally got to see my post for all my rankings of Judas Priest albums as well. So, yeah. Other than that, take care, y'all, and I'll see you when I see you. I'll be ready to move train poles in. Let's put it that way. I see myself. I just, whatever. Just take care.